Hello everyone. In this video, we'll see how we can create the workflow outcomes. So first of all, what I mean by that. So let me go to common and let me go to work item assigned to me. So when I open this form, I'll wait for this form to get opened. Okay. So let me duplicate this tab. I want to show you. So what we'll do, we'll go to our catalog form. So for that, I will navigate to retail and commerce. I will click on retail and commerce. I will go inside this catalog. Here I will go to all catalogs. And if you see this catalog number C0008, and when you click here, you can see currently either it can be approved, rejected, or the request can be delegated, or it can be cancelled. So for example, if you want to know for a certain catalog, like what are the possible workflow outcomes here, then I'm going to write code for that scenario. So similarly, if you click here, C006, so here you can see history. Alright, so now we'll write code for this. So I'm going to create a runnable class. I will go to class and I will simply click on runnable class. I will simply add my runnable class. So now we need to remember a few concepts. The first thing is that we need to know about our main data source. So our main data source is catalog table. So I'm simply going to create an object of my catalog table. Then as currently I'm only interested in my catalog number 00, so I can use this find method, find catalog ID, and here my catalog ID is C0008. So let us reconfirm the same. So I will go to front end. Let me close this window. Yep. So it's C0008. So I will recheck. Okay, alright. So this is our main, what do we call, like the main data source table. Okay, and now we need to relate this table with our workflow work item table. So let me go to workflow work item table. I will define this table. I will say workflow work item table. Alright, I've defined object of my this workflow work item table. Now I will compare. So I will write here select. I'm interested in my workflow work item table because from there only I will be getting my required data. Then I can simply use where clause here. I can say where my workflow work item table dot referential rec id is equals to my catalog table rec id, and I can put here and then I can say again workflow work item table. This time I'm going to use referential table id, and I'm going to again relate it with my catalog dot table id. And at the end I will simply relate with my company ID as well. So I can say workflow work item table, this table dot. So if you will search for field with company, so this is the correct field, company ID, and you can say is equals to your catalog table dot data area ID. And give me a second here, we'll quickly check this table. I go to properties. and I will simply do E to Z here. Okay, so the save data per company property is no, so this field will not be available here, so I'll be simply restricting it till here. I can remove this. Alright, so here I will close my this select statement. Now from my workflow item table, I will need to get my workflow element table. So there is one more table named as workflow element table. You can see here workflow element table, and from my this table workflow work item table dot, I have a function here named as workflow element table, this one. So from here I can easily get buffer, and let me collapse this first. Alright, yeah, so I will save it. Now we need to use a class, so let me write that name of that class. It is sys workflow element. This is my class. Let me define an object of this class. I can say sys workflow element, and I'm going to use a function here, sys workflow element. I will say colon colon. Here you see I have this particular method, new element table. Okay, so from my new element table I need to pass buffer of my workflow element table. So that's why I have grabbed this particular table buffer here. So I can simply pass it here. I will say save. Let me save this. So if I'll go to this class, so here you are going to use this, let me search for new element table, this one. So it will help us, to get the required workflow outcomes. So now what I will do, I will simply press enter here, and then I will need to use, see the output. So if you will go to this class, so there is one more function called get outcome. So let me go to definition here again, and let me type that function, that is get outcomes. So we'll get an output from this particular function. Now you see the type of this function is list, so we can get multiple outcomes. So we need to define a list first. So I'll be creating a list now. So to define my list, I can simply say list, my list equals to new list, and my types would be a string here because all these are string field. So I can simply say string, and now inside my list I can easily get all the outcomes from this class, from my sys workflow element dot get outcomes. Not this one, I need to use this one, so I will close this. Alright, now this is also ready. Okay, and now we need to know, like so for example, how many elements in total we'll get. So we can use element function from our list. So what I mean to say, here I can say integer total outcomes, or you can say it as total options as well, equals to, you can simply say equals to one second guys here. Alright, equals to, I can say my list, and I can use this out of the box function from my list, that is elements. Alright, and now if in case I want to display all my elements of my list, so then I will need to iterate through my list. So in order to iterate through my list, I need to use my list enumerator. Here I can define the object as enumerator, and I can say equals to, I can write my list name, and I can, from here I can use this get enumerator function. I will close this. Then I can say while my enumerator have a function called move next. So I will say move next. Basically this will help me to iterate. So this will be my while loop. Here I can display every element one by one. Okay, so let us say so I can use info from my enumerator function. I will have this, in order to get my current value, I can use this current function. So what it will do, it will iterate and will display every outcome one by one. Okay, and here let me use this function as well. So in order to display the total outcomes, I can use my strfmt function. I can say strfmt, and I can say total outcomes, and I can put this here %1, and here I can simply display my total options, and I will save it. And let me save it. So let me trigger a build now. So guys, my build is completed, and I have simply run my runnable class 2, and I am getting these two outcomes. Total number of outcomes is 2. It is reject and approve. So now when I will go to my retail and commerce, let me click here, and when I go to all catalog, and the catalog that we have written in our code is C0008. So C0008, and when you see the possible outcomes here, it is reject or approve, right? So either it can be rejected or it can be approved. So in this way you can find out all the outcomes that are available inside a workflow. So let me reiterate what we did in terms of code. So first of all, our main table was the catalog table, and here we have passed our catalog ID, that is C0008, and then we have joined this catalog table with our WorkflowWorkItemTable. Now to join this table, we use this referential rec ID and referential table ID from both the tables, and then so basically the main logic was available inside this particular class, like sys workflow element. Now we have this function new element table here, so where we need to pass workflow element table, and now with the help of our workflow work item table, we can easily get the instance of workflow element table. So that's why we have used this piece of code in line number 17. Now once that is done, it is going to return us, like when you will take this object and you will use this function get outcomes, it is simply going to provide us a list. Then here we simply check the the total number of outcomes, like how many records are available inside this list, and then we simply display it here, and then we iterate it through our list. We use the list enumerator here. We use our while loop enumerator dot move next function so that we could iterate through our list, and at the end we simply displayed the every instance of this list. So thank you for watching this video.